Hey everybody, it's Dana, and welcome back to my Valentine's Day card series. And we are on day 2. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm starting out with this beautiful flowing heart stencil from Altenew, and I also have a piece of paper already folded to a side card panel, and we're going to use this as our base today. This is going to be a one-layer card, so it's going to be very clean and simple. Now to get started, I am going to grab a little bit of adhesive and I want to close my card down flat. So when I'm stenciling, my card does not have a tendency to rise up. Next, I'm going to go ahead and place my stencil down exactly where I want it. And I'm just kind of eyeballing the middle of the card panel. And next, I'm going to come in with some micro pour tape. Now, as you can tell, this has two hearts on this stencil. I do want to block off that top stencil because I don't want any of that on this card panel. So I'm just going to tape that down, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, and I'm going to tape the stencil from behind. This just helps the stencil stay in place, and I won't have to worry about it shifting when we start blending out the color. All right, since that is done, now we can go ahead and start blending on some pretty colors. Now, for some reason, these flowing hearts to me kind of seem like flames. So like my heart's on fire. So I chose to use some Distress Oxide inks in mustard seed, carved pumpkin, and candied apple. This to me mimics the color that you will actually see in a flame. So I'm going to start off with the mustard seed, and I'm going to load up my blending tool, and I'm just going to test it out to make sure I have enough ink on it before I actually bring it to the stencil. Now what I love about oxide inks is that they blend seamlessly together. I do still use my regular distress inks, but the creaminess of these oxide inks really helps if you want to have a really seamless kind of flow between your colors. Now, since I have that color down, I'm going to go ahead and go into my carved pumpkin. Now, usually I like to tap it off onto a scratch piece of paper before I bring that color in. Now I am going to kind of break this heart up in kind of like thirds. So I'm going to have some yellow towards the bottom, some of that orange towards the middle part, and then the top part is going to have that red, again mimicking like flames. Now, you might not see the flame that I'm seeing in this. You might just see swirls, but I don't know what it is. It just makes me feel like this heart is like full of flames. I did come back in with that yellow blending tool, and I'm just blending out so I can get a really nice gradation between the carved pumpkin and the mustard seed. Once I have that done, I can go ahead and move into that candied apple. Now this is a very bright red, and I actually love this color. Again, I'm going to tap it off first on that scratch piece of paper, and then I'll go ahead and bring the color into that heart. Again, I'm just going to very soft circular motions, not really pressing too hard, because anytime you press too hard, you have a tendency to get that little like half moon mark from this blending tool. So you can always build up your layers with your distress inks instead of going down really hard the first time. Next, I'm coming in with the blending tool that had the carved pumpkin on it, and I'm just blending that line out again. I'm just going to softly go over one more time just so I have that really nice gradation between those colors. And I'll finish off with my yellow, more mustard, just making sure everything's blended out perfectly. Now, since I have that done, I do want to grab a little bit of water, and I'm going to spritz up pretty high on this. I don't want like really big watermarks. I just want the colors to kind of blend a little bit better. And once they're wet, they get nice and creamy and they oxidize. And that's what is so perfect about these distress oxides. Next, I'm coming in with a paper towel, and I'm just going to dab up any of that extra that I have, any of that water, so it does not seep below that stencil. And then I'll just gently go around my stencil and clean it up just a little bit. Again, this is not watercolor paper, so I want to be careful with the amount of water that I get on this. Next, I can pull back the stencil to reveal my favorite part, and look how gorgeous this heart is. Now, the reason I did it in these colors is because this is a masculine card. All right, next I'm going to come in with some deco foil, and this is foam adhesive. This is absolutely perfect anytime you need a double-sided adhesive that already has like the foam in between. And I was asked to do a masculine card for this series. So that's why I chose to use those flame colors, like My Heart's on Fire for my husband, instead of like your typical reds and pinks. All right, now since I have that cut out, I'm going to go ahead and grab myself some washi tape because I want to run this through my die cut machine. So as you can see, my plate is very, very well loved. And now I can just come in with that washi tape. And that's just really to hold this stencil in place. It's really for no other reason. It's just not the stencil, the die in place. And I'm going to run this through my die cut machine backwards and forwards twice. Just because this is foam, I need some really good pressure to cut that through. Now we're going to use some Nuvo Gilding Flakes. Now, if you've never used this before, my biggest advice to you is make sure you do not have a fan on. Your air conditioner is not running overhead because this stuff is really, really fluffy and it will go everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Now, I did have a friend of mine who wanted me to show this because she has this product, but she's never used it. And I was figuring, okay, you asked me to do it in my card series, so here we go. Now, because this double-sided foam is adhesive on both sides, I can pull up the top part of this. So I'm just pulling up the release paper from the top part of this V, pulling it back off. Now this part is sticky. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab just a few of those flakes. Now, what's so cool about these flakes, you can also do this with glue. Wait till your glue gets tacky and then put these flakes on. But I'm just going to put it right on here because I already have the adhesive. All you have to do is lay it down over anything that is tacky, or in this case, I have some adhesive. Just make sure you lay it over every single piece of that. That's what you want to make sure. It's laid on every single piece. Everything is covered. Now, once you have it down, all you have to do is really start buffing with your finger, and it starts kind of breaking down the flakes and making them smaller and smaller and really getting it into that adhesive. And then you have gold, and it almost looks like a gold brick, like a gold bar. And it's absolutely so, so beautiful. So I'm just going to go ahead and now pop out that V. And you'll see anytime you do it this way, you're going to have like some ragged ends, but don't worry about that. You see that little paintbrush I got sitting off to the side? That's going to help me clean up those edges. I always choose to use a soft paintbrush just to get off those tiny, tiny pieces that are left behind. But you can, if you want to, leave those pieces there. And then it really does look like a freshly minted gold bar. So just keep that in mind. Now, like I said, you're going to have a lot of this little residue of this gold left behind. My biggest advice to you is to make sure you vacuum this up so your kids or your pets don't get any of this in your mouth if they're crawling on floors and your pet doesn't have a chance to digest it. I'm just, again, going to use that brush, get right into that V, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you what this looks like. And look how beautiful that is. It really just looks like you've embossed gold layers, but it's all from these little bitty flakes. I'm going to go ahead and show you again how easy this is. Again, all you have to do is peel up the release part of the top part of your letter. Okay, don't go all the way through because then you'll be peeling up the back side of the paper. I hope it makes sense when I say that. So you're just going to peel off the release paper from the first top layer of that letter. Go ahead and peel it on back. And then again, you're just going to go ahead and grab out a few of those flakes. I'm just going to grab one that's sitting right on my desk, and you just press it down And because the flakes are so light and airy, they automatically want to stick to anything that has like stickiness to it. So just grab out a few more pieces. Now, any that you have left behind, any larger pieces, just go ahead and put those back in the jar because you can use those on a later date. Any the crumb pieces, I just get rid of them because they're just, in my opinion, just not worth keeping. But as you can see, I'm just taking little pieces of those flakes and just placing them right on top. Now this jar, you guys, is going to last you a mighty, mighty long time. Just saying. I don't think I've gone through this and I've had these flakes for quite some time now. So again, I have them all down. Now all I'm going to do is make sure I have everything covered, and then I'm just going to take my hand once again and I'm just going to start buffing it in right into that. And it's just like a circular motion, just you're buffing with your fingers, and then you can come in there with that fine not toothbrush, paintbrush, and clean up those edges. Once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and pop it out. And then again, I'm just going to take that paintbrush, go inside the O, around the edges of it, and it will seamlessly knock off some of that extra. But you end up with this beautiful, beautiful gold alphabet letter, or if you want to do a heart, totally up to you, but it's such a pretty element to place on your cards. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the E and the L, and then we're going to go ahead and make our card. All right, now since my background had a chance to dry and my letters are done, now it's time for us to start assembling these cards. Now look how pretty that is. Like I said, I needed to make a masculine card, so I kept the colors non-traditional Valentine Day-ish, and I use those brighter colors because I know my husband will like this color combination. I'm coming in with my T ruler, and that's going to assist me on placing down my letters exactly where I want them and to keep everything in a straight line. So once I have all of my letters exactly where I want them, I now have pretty much like a gold sticker. So now all I have to do is release the back part of that foam. And if it's too hard for you, you can use the outline of what you just die cut out and place that on your card and then put your letters in. To me, using a T ruler comes in handy and it's a little bit more cleaner. All I have to do now is just remove the backing because remember, this was double-sided foam. So it's now like a sticker. And then I'll go ahead and place that down where I want it. And I'll just gently lay that into place. And this is pretty sticky, so I know for sure this is going to stick to my card and I'm not going to have to worry about it falling off later. That is what's so great about this Deco Foil foam adhesive. It is extremely tacky and it stays in place. Now, I don't like to push everything down onto my card like where I want it, just in case I have to wiggle some things around a little bit later. So I kind of just lightly put it into place. And then if I have to adjust, I can go ahead and adjust. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put down that L. And then we have this beautiful love. Now I'm going to adjust this E just a tad bit, and that's why I didn't pop it all the way down and press it down, because it gives me the opportunity to move it just ever so slightly before I press it all into place. So go ahead and put that down, and voila, now we have this beautiful golden love on this masculine card. Now to finish off this card, I kept thinking, I don't want to put any gems on this. I kind of want to keep it clean and simple. So I went ahead and I grabbed myself a black multi-liner pen, and I'm just going to go around that heart and just stitch out some dash lines. I just felt like I needed to outline this heart a little bit more and just still keep it clean and simple. So I'm just going to do that black stitching all the way around the outside of that heart. And then that is going to finish up our masculine gilded flakes. Valentine's Day card. All right, everybody, that is the card for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you missed day one, I'll link it below. Have a fantastic day until I see you again. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.